project is on listening analysis, but more specifically in regard to what it's like to be me in regards to my learning disability, which is an auditory visual deficit. So, let's talk about what that is. I have an auditory processing deficit, but more specifically known as an auditory processing disorder. What is it? An auditory processing disorder, APD, is a hearing problem that affects about 5% of our school-age children. Kids with this condition can't process what they hear in the same way other kids do. This is because our ears and brain don't fully coordinate. So now let's go back to Module 6, and we were talking about listening, which is what my central focus is meant to be. So, refreshing your mind, listening analysis. The textbook says listening is a process and doesn't have a defined start and finish. Like a communication process, listening has cognitive, behavioral, and relational elements and doesn't unfold in a linear, step-by-step fashion. Now, these are some of my struggles that I have with my learning disability. I have a hard time following conversations. It's hard to know where sound is coming from sometimes. I listen to music, but if there's too many beats behind a song, it's hard for me to enjoy it. It's hard to remember spoken instructions, particularly if there are multiple steps. It's hard to understand what people are saying, especially in a loud setting or if more than one person is talking. Now, on to the myths. So, myth 1 is that learning disabilities are not common. Learning disabilities are common. In the 2010 U.S. Census, 4.6 million Americans reported having a learning disability, and 1 out of every 20 public school students is identified as having a learning disability. Next, myth 2 is common causes of learning disabilities include watching too much TV, eating a poor diet, receiving childhood vaccines, or lack of parent-teacher involvement. So I included a picture of a fried egg because it refers to that one portion that goes, this is your brain. This is your brain on drugs. So I had to do that. But while the specific nature of learning disabilities within the brain is not completely known, it is known that they arise from neurological differences in the brain structures and functions that affect a person's ability to receive, store, process, retrieve, or communicate information. Myth 3. Myth 3 is learning disabilities are linked to lower IQ. And I have a little comic here that says, who cares if I'm not smart? I have a good life. Besides, ignorance is bliss. Not for you, it isn't. Unfortunately, you're too ignorant to realize that. Brain paradox. By definition, people with learning disabilities have average or above intelligence. Learning disabilities are not caused by having a low cognitive ability, otherwise known as low IQ. Next, and then I have people with learning disabilities are lazy. People with learning disabilities work just as hard as those without learning disabilities. In fact, it is a requirement of both special education law, IDEA, and medical guidelines, DSM-V, that people with a learning disability/disorder must have a history of receiving interventions in the areas of difficulty before being diagnosed. That means that for someone to be identified as having a learning disability disorder, she must have done even more work in the area of difficulty on top of the work all students do. So when I started elementary school, it wasn't until second grade that my teacher noticed something, and then it wasn't until third grade a resource therapist had finally given me a diagnosis, which is my learning disorder. And then I finally started being accommodated. And then myth 5 says people can grow out of learning disabilities. And then I have this little quote right here. There's no cure for a learning disability, and you don't outgrow it, but it's never too late to get help. Most people with learning disabilities learn to adapt to their learning differences, and they learn strategies that help them accomplish their goals and dreams. Because learning disabilities arise from neurological differences in brain structure, people will not grow out of them. However, with proper evidence-based instruction and the ability to use appropriate accommodations, people with learning disabilities can learn strategies for navigating life by capitalizing on their strengths and bypassing their weaknesses. And then I have a few things that me and I'm sure other people that have disabilities want you to know. 1, we're not our disorders. 2, our feelings count too. 3, we're not doing this to make you mad. 4, be patient. Some things may take us longer to learn. 5, we're just like everybody else. 6, little accomplishments mean a lot to us. Although this final might be a really big grade, this is considered a small accomplishment for me because before I would never talk about my learning disability, but this gives me a chance to let people be informed and to know what it's like for people that are not neurodivergent. If you believe we will succeed, then we will. And don't give up on us. In 4th grade, I wasn't that accommodated. In middle school, I had a really rough time because no one would choose to listen. In 10th grade, I wasn't being accommodated, and I honestly didn't think that I would graduate high school. but now I'm here as a college freshman, and now I'm talking about learning disabilities, so that's a really good thing. And then, just the simple solution is to listen, APT, and accommodations, just learning disabilities overall. The best thing you can do for someone with a learning disability is simple. Just listen. Understand that not everyone thinks and looks like you. Not everyone is going to learn the same, and for some of us, we're going to be a little